I have found a way to fit Salah, Haaland and Palmer in the same FPL team with it still being really balanced, and it's going to take advantage of some of the new rules we've seen implemented by FPL. So let's take a look at it in today's first draft video. Welcome to the first team of the 25-26 season. This team is my triple premium draft with Salah, Haaland and Cole Palmer. Excited to show you guys, and you can let me know what you think. I think it's pretty well balanced and I've quite enjoyed this team in my FPL draft currently. Of course it is pre-season and I've got a lot more pre-season content coming your guys' way, so make sure you subscribe to the channel. Of course, me making videos to help you guys out, you just clicking that small red button helps me out a massive amount, so I really do appreciate it. But yeah, a little bit of a quick announcement as well. I am partnering with Night Managers this season, the most powerful algorithm on the market. So I'm really excited to bring you guys some content and start showcasing it a little bit more as we go into pre-season. But yeah, super excited to showcase that to you guys this coming season. But let's start off with the defence. We've gone with Sells in goal to start things off. We all remember last season how good of a pick he was. The Nottingham Forest defence was absolutely solid, and I don't think that's going to change. I really don't. As much as, yes, I expect to fall off with them being in a European League. Of course, it seems they're in the Europa League now, so a little bit of a harder competition. But I still think Forest defensively were quite good. Of course, losing Alanga's quite big to Newcastle. But yeah, I still think defensively they're going to put up a really good fight. We've got Colwill there as well. Fantastic in the Club World Cup final. Just been a really great player for Chelsea, in my opinion, for the past sort of season or season and a half-ish, when he's really solidified his spot as that starting centre-back, and it's going to continue into this season. So yeah, a really cheap asset that I think is actually underpriced in FPL. Levi Colwill with some really nice fixtures. You've got Van de Ven as well. Now, when it comes to sort of cheap defenders in FPL, Van de Ven for me is definitely up there as one of the best on the surface of things. As far as my research has taken me in this small amount of time that FPL has been out, Van de Ven at 4.5 seems like an absolute steal, especially under Thomas Frank. We know Thomas Frank is quite defensively capable of sort of keeping teams out and changing his sort of team dynamics and systems to suit sort of opposition style of play as well. So yeah, super undervalued asset there, and Mickey Van de Ven for 4.5 million. It still doesn't quite make sense to me. I expected maybe a little bit more than that. You've got Gvardiol, really solid City centre back now. It seems that left back spot's just going to be no longer his, which is completely fine. He's a very good centre back, and with the point system we have for defensive contributions, players like Colwill, Van de Ven and Gvardiol I think could get a fair chunk of defensive contribution points over the course of the season. So those guys being sort of centre back positions, normally you'd look at that and go, well, why don't you get some fullbacks for more attacking potential? I think this could be the way to go this season. We'll have to wait and see, of course, but yeah, super excited with those new rules. You've got De Cooper here. Now, I'm not going to lie to you and say I've watched this guy a million times, because I haven't, but I've seen the data in his attacking output. I'm quite impressed, so I think we're going to take another chance on a young, sort of cheap Brighton fullback like we did last season. Of course, it's a bit of a different situation to Valentin Barco, but De Cooper seems like a really good pick at the moment. On the bench, of course, we have a cheap option in Ronaldo from, of course, Sunderland. 4 million. I think he's going to start for us. We'll have to wait and see how preseason plays out, of course, but yeah, cheap 4 million. I think this defence is really strong. Of course, 4 at the back, kind of taking advantage of some of these defensive contribution points, and of course, all of these guys have really great fixtures. So let's move on to the midfielders. Now, this team could either be a 3 at the back or a 4 at the back. I just wanted to have a 4 at the back system to showcase all of the defenders and sort of the defensive contribution point system, how I'm going to take advantage of it. We, of course, have Belieber on the bench there from Brighton. he is a really undervalued player in my opinion as well. We've seen sort of the table that FPL released the other week, where defensive contribution points were added on to players from last season, and Belieber really got boosted up in his points total. We know how aggressive and strong he is. You know, Brighton already producing an absolute monster in Caicedo, who's in my team. Now they're sort of developing Belieber, and he's looking like a really good player. He's one of my favourite players to watch in centre midfield at the moment. Of course, he's got a foot like a tractor engine as well, which is absolutely crazy. But let's move on to the main three here. You've got Salah and Palmer. We'll talk about them next. But Caicedo, we all seen that he came top of the list for defensive contribution points. We know how good this player is. He is seriously one of the best DMs in the world. It is insane how good he is. I really, really love Caicedo. And I think in FPL, him now being a potential option is absolutely fantastic, because we always had to pick attack-minded players to get points that way. And it was a bit boring. I had to say, it was a bit boring, because you couldn't pick a player like Caicedo. You just get absolutely just destroyed by the competition, and people would overtake you and write like crazy if you chose Caicedo last season. But now, with the defensive contribution points, I think it levels the playing field a little bit. You can have a mix of these more defensive assets and some more attacking assets, and Cole Palmer being that attacking asset, which absolutely dominated PSG. Let's be honest, like, who on earth expected that? Really, who expected that to happen? When I sat down before the game and I was thinking, well, what's going to happen here? I was like, I'd love Chelsea to win, because for me, I always like English teams to win European competitions. I don't know what it is. I've asked some other people, they saying, yes, I agree with you. Some people say, absolutely not, I only want my team to win. I don't know, but I really wanted Chelsea to win. Of course, they got it over the line, and Cole Palmer was a massive part of that. Palace first, a good set of fixtures coming up in the first few weeks for Chelsea. I think they're going to be pushing for the title all season long. They're not going to have that drop-off that they did last season. You could say sort of, you know, I was going to say making new signings might get them sort of competing for longer, but last season they had loads of signings. But of course, Mudryk having doping issues, injury, you know, I do think this season they're more well-equipped for that title race. And Salah, being the Premier League champion he is, of course, is in my FPL team. What a season he had last season, but now so much more expensive. Of course, I predicted this price to be 14.5. It's 14.5. I have to admit, after a season like last, it does make sense for Salah to be 15 million. It really does. But FPL have no balls, and they're never going to do that. So 14.5 million, probably my captain for game week 1 right now. Of course, captaincy and stuff, you can't really predict it right now. There's pointless having a discussion about it, because we just don't know how teams are going to line up. So overall, as a back four in a midfield three, I'm still really enjoying this team. I think Belieber could definitely come in for De Cupra and sort of have a 3-4-3 or 3. Yeah, I think that system could really work instead of having De Cupra there. But enough talking. Let's go on the forwards, because I'm quite excited about this. His name is Elijah Mayenda, and he hates Sam Fender. I cannot believe I've played FPL for 2 seasons, coming up 3 seasons now actually, and I've never been able to own Sunderland players. Sunderland have had years out of the Premier League, and of course, I supported them all the way. I went to Wembley to watch the playoff final. Mayenda scoring that goal, Tommy Watson scoring his goal. We're back, and I can pick Sunderland players in my FPL. Elijah Mayenda, get yourself straight in there, son. Against West Ham, why not throw the captaincy armband on as well? But yeah, all jokes aside, Mayenda in FPL, it's absolutely great. Realistically, I'm probably going to put Belieber in there instead of Mayenda and have sort of a 4-4-2. But Mayenda's staying there for vibes. He's got his sunglasses on in the picture as well. What's not to like about him? Well, I mean, Sunderland could be signing many other players, so he might lose his position, but we'll ignore that for now. You've got Solanke there against Burnley. Again, Spurs assets for me are undervalued. Last season's massive underperformance has caused their value to be just murdered. It makes no sense, because Thomas Frank is now their manager. I think they've got a new leash of life, and I'm really excited to watch Spurs this season. I think they're going to be absolutely fantastic under Thomas Frank. It might take them a while to get going, It really might do, but they've got a good selection of fixtures to start the season off, and we all know that fixtures breed form, and yeah, I'm really excited to see what Solanke plays like this season, because we've seen how Wissa plays under Thomas Frank. Could Solanke be used in sort of a similar way? Yeah, super excited to see how he gets on. You've also got Kudus that hasn't been involved in this team in particular, but I think Kudus could have a really good season as well. You've got Haaland as well to sort of finish that triple premium draft. You've got Haaland, you've got Salah, you've got Cole Palmer. Haaland, for me, I think he's honestly been trash talked a lot, and a lot of people aren't including him in their FPL teams. Yes, that's because he's quite expensive, and I understand that. But he scored a lot of goals last season. He was injured for a little bit, and City weren't at their best. We all know that. So for me, he's been a little bit disrespected. It's super early in pre-season. We can't predict everything, but I think he'll have a great season. Yeah, I will say though, I had a little bit of a tinker with this team last night. Just lying in bed, kind of curious on what we can kind of come up with, because I'm constantly thinking about different ways we can kind of structure our teams. Taking Haaland out does make things a lot easier. Taking Haaland out allows you to go to maybe sort of a Chris Wood, have him as your forward instead of Haaland. You can then fit in another sort of kind of premium midfielder in Florian Wirtz. Everyone's super excited about him. So yeah, selling Haaland does free up a lot of money, and it can make sense if you want a more balanced team overall. For example, a lot of this team is quite cheap, but I would argue that this team is very balanced and it's very good. Of course, if you don't want to see a Sunderland player, newly promoted striker there, just take him out, put Belieber in there. That's a really good structured team in my opinion. That aside, that's just my initial draft for the first one of the season. Let me know in the comments what you think of it. But yeah, super excited for this season. Make sure you subscribe for the rest of the pre-season content and like today's video. I always give you guys at home a massive thank you for supporting the FPL Mugs YouTube channel. Of course, if you enjoyed today's video, make sure you click on that like button. And if you aren't subscribed just yet, go ahead and subscribe for future FPL videos and deadline streams when the season starts. But that is absolutely everything for today's video. Thank you again so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye for now.